We're going to talk about 5 tips for using herbs and essential oils with your animals. Now, I know some of you have cats, dogs, birds, chickens like I do, horses, goats. Herbs and essential oils can be very nice helpers for many of your animals. There are some things you need to know and take into account before you make any decisions this way. And I'm going to go ahead and just do this quick video and give you some little starter tips for you. The first tip I have, before I start, I want to just share with you, I have a new herbal remedy guide here for animals, and you can download this for free. So I just wanted to share this with you. I'll put a link in the thingy above, and I'll also put it in the description, and I'll also put it in the first comment so you can get that. And it is absolutely free, and it's going to have some good information for you. All right, so the first tip I have for you is to stick with gentle preparations first. So some people want to go right to the hardcore stuff. Now, I'm not going to be able to get into different kinds of medical or health ailments for animals, and I'm not a doctor and I'm not a veterinarian either, but I have used both herbs and essential oils with my animals, from my chickens to my cats to my dogs to my horses, with very good results. But the thing is that you want to go gentle first. So a way to think about that would be, you might want to start with hydrosols if you're working with small animals, or herbal teas. And I'm going to leave that tip alone there because we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a second. My number 2 tip is that it's a really good idea to treat animals as special populations. You might be wondering, what is a special population? What does that mean? Usually, when we are considering protocols for human beings, we start with your average sized adult, and that average sized adult is about 150 to 160 pounds and is male. So anything outside of that realm can be considered a special population. So for humans, it would be a pregnant person, it could be an infant, it could be an elderly person, or a person with very sensitive skin. Things like that make up a special population. So animals should always be treated as a special population because they are. They're completely different from human beings. And many of us have heard and know that, like cats, for example, lack an enzyme in their liver that help them to filter out the toxins that might be in certain essential oils. So you need to know some things before you can use your essential oils and your herbs with special populations like cats, right? So that's what I like to think about. You need to be thinking about these things whenever you're working with your animals and using herbs or essential oils, and that is the species of the animal. We just spoke about cats are a little bit different. They are obligate carnivores. That makes their digestive system very different than the horse, which is an herbivore, 100%. All right, or a dog, which is more like a human being because they're omnivores. So we have to think about all of these things. So the species of the animal you must take into account. The size of the animal needs to be considered too. Very small animals like rabbits or little rodents should not ever be treated really with herbs and essential oils because they're just way too powerful. But a gentle hydrosol might be a better choice. And then what is the need of the animal? My cat came in on Sunday morning and it looked like he'd been attacked by a raccoon or something, and he had a huge gash. He couldn't put any weight on his forearm. And I knew exactly what to do for him in terms of using herbs and essential oils for him, but his need was extreme. So the things I chose to use for him, I probably wouldn't have used with something more minor. And by the way, he's doing fine. He's been relaxing on the couch and has his fuzzy blanket, and we've been doing good things for him. And He's coming along really well. Nothing's broken, luckily. He started putting weight on it today. But anyway, and then you want to consider the ailment. Is it respiratory, the body system? Is it a respiratory issue? Is it, like in the case of my little cat, is it a musculoskeletal issue? What is it that you're trying to work with? And that's going to determine oftentimes what you choose to do too. Number 3, I just want to talk about prevention really quickly. Prevention is key. Honestly, a lot of things can be prevented with humans and animals. Proper food and nutrition, good hygiene. So for animals, is their stall dirty or is it clean? Is their area that they live in, how well is it kept? Same with human beings. If we're living in a dirty house, we're more likely to get sick, right? It's the same thing. And then the other thing is I want to mention is stress. Animals get stressed out too. And if we can keep our animals on the not stressed scale, that's going to be a lot better for them. Stress depletes our immune system and causes illness. So just keep that in mind with your animals as well. And then finally, here's tip number 4. I want you to consider self-medication. So over the centuries, humans have lost the way to self-medicate. Some of us still can. Some of us have an intuitive sense of what our body needs at a given time. But animals have this innate sense sometimes, not all the time. I've seen animals eat some things they shouldn't eat. But in general, they know what they need. And it's easier to work with essential oils in that regard, to be honest, than with herbs, because with herbs, we are administering the herb usually internally. But with essential oils, you can do some work on having them smell the oil and then know what it is that they're attracted to. There's a whole system for that. And I actually have been trained in that. So that's something you can consider if you feel comfortable with that. Otherwise, always do your research. Tip number 5, we're at the 5th tip now. I'm keeping this fast. But I want to just have you consider choosing applications in order of least invasiveness to most invasiveness. So, for example, my cat yesterday, he came in with this huge gash and he couldn't put weight on his leg. So I chose a very simple, I could have chosen an herbal tea spray or something like that, but I chose a golden seal tincture, which is rather harsh, and it can burn a little bit on raw wounds, but he handled it beautifully. But that's what I chose to work with for him instead of going with the hydrosol, because I felt like he needed that more. Same thing with inflammation, for swelling and things like that. I chose an internal tincture for him to take. The golden seal we used externally, and then I made him up a little bit of a tincture that has strong anti-inflammatory capabilities, and I gave him a little teeny tiny amount, like 5 drops, and it worked really well. That's what I want to say about the choosing applications in order of invasiveness. So I'm just going to run down a list for you really fast. So number 1, I would suggest an herbal tea. Herbal teas you can make lightly or strongly, and they're generally not that invasive, and animals can then choose whether they want to drink it or not, unless you're putting it in their water, which they have no choice at that point. I really like to give them choices if I can. Number 2, herbal powders. Many people like to put herbal powders in their animals' foods. Now, I'm not a super fan of that unless you know exactly what you're doing and you know that the herb is safe for your animal. And cats are extremely finicky, but dogs usually will wolf everything down pretty well. But generally, that would be my next choice depending on what I'm working on. If I'm dealing with an animal that has a lot of inflammation in their bodies, or they have joint pains and aches, then adding a little glucosamine powder or some turmeric and black pepper powder to their food, if they're a dog especially, or a goat, might be very helpful. The third on the list would be an herbal acetum. An acetum is a vinegar infusion, and those are very nice too, and they're usually really high in nutrients and mineral values. Next up are tinctures. Herbal tinctures are alcohol extracts. Now, like when I was giving my little cat just those few drops of alcohol in the tincture, I gave him some little tiny bit of willow bark. knowing that this was only for short-term use. I'm not going to keep giving him this every day. In fact, I don't think he needs it right now because he's walking. He was not walking when I was giving him this, and I was worried. So anyway, a tincture is something that you would want to really give some consideration to. I was trying to decide whether I needed to take him to the vet in case of a potential break in his bone. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone the tincture route with him. It just all depends on the situation and the animal too. Next up, essential oils. So many people like to say, oh, essential oils are fine. You can use them with animals. And guess what? You can. But they are very concentrated. They can be very dangerous. And your animal, when you're working with them with essential oils, they don't have a whole lot of control. And often they can't talk to you. They can't tell you what they're feeling. So I would say essential oils would be down the list of the last things that you would want to try with your animals. So here are some things. If you do choose to work with essential oils, and yes, they are just fine in many cases, I would say go with the lower dilution first. Make sure that you don't have much essential oil. Dilute. If you're working with little animals, do not use essential oils. Just go for the hydrosol. Spritzing a hydrosol in the air, or misting it in the air is really helpful. And I would say that includes babies too. You should not be using essential oils with human babies. Okay. So just going to throw that out there. And that's it. Those are the basic tips I have for you for using herbs and essential oils with animals. I know this was fast. This is a hugely deep topic. You can ask questions or leave comments in the comments section. I am a trained aromatherapist and I am a trained herbalist, and I've been using both herbs and essential oils with my animals for many years now. And I even have a specialization in animal aromatherapy. So I'm not just making things up. I am super careful. And so there you go. I err on the side of safety. But you can get this free guide to help you with your animals. It'll help you get started if you want to. And I just want to invite you to a livestock summit. So my friend Shelby DeVore over at Farminance is holding her annual livestock summit next week. So this would be October 23rd for that Monday through Friday. And it's going to be really good. She's got some very excellent speakers. Wardy Harmon is talking on cheese making, and Lisa Steele's going to be there talking about chickens. We've really got some wonderful speakers. Kathy Rogers will be there talking about goats. Guess what, am going to be speaking on using herbs and essential oils with animals. And if you do buy the All Access Pass, you're going to get my free workshop, the whole entire thing, plus this 80-page book, and it's really good. I go into a lot more depth with the safety and give you plenty of remedies and how to adjust them for different animals. But for now, you can get this one for free. Again, I'm going to leave links down there. Any questions? Please ask. I am going to leave the link to Shelby's summit in the first comment. So you can just scroll down and click on that and get signed up. It's a free summit. But if you want to upgrade, then you're going to be getting this book plus a ton of other bonuses. So there you go. I hope that you will join us at the summit. I hope you enjoyed this quick little rundown of herbal and essential oil tips for animals. And take advantage of grabbing this freebie for you that I made. I think you're really going to like it. It'll give you a start. All right. I'm Heidi Villegas with Healing Harvest Homestead, and I hope you enjoyed this quick little video, and I hope to see you at the summit next week. I'll see you later. All right. Bye-bye.